My child, the balance may have followed you into this moment. You may have tried to rest, but the numbers returned as soon as the room became quiet. A payment is due, an account is overdrawn, an envelope is still unopened, a notification is waiting on your phone. Your body may be sitting still while your mind runs through the same calculations again and again, asking what can be delayed, what must be paid, and how long you can keep carrying this pressure. Before we go any further, breathe slowly. Let your shoulders lower. Unclench your jaw. You do not have to solve your entire financial life in the next 60 seconds. You only need enough calm to hear the truth and enough courage to take the next wise step. Debt is a financial condition. It is not your identity. It is not your name. It is not a measure of how lovable, faithful, intelligent, or valuable you are. Today, I will help you separate shame from responsibility, fear from facts, and hope from fantasy. We will bring the numbers into the light. We will talk about practical choices that protect your household. And we will pray for wisdom, endurance, honest help, and peace that does not depend on pretending the problem is smaller than it is. I see the moments no one else sees. I see you sitting in the car before walking into work, trying to steady your breathing. I see you at the kitchen table after everyone has gone to bed, moving bills from one side of the table to the other, as though a different arrangement might create more money. I see the hesitation before you check the bank account. I see the embarrassment when friends suggest dinner, a trip, or a celebration that your budget cannot hold. I see the silent comparison when someone your age buys a home, announces a vacation, or talks casually about savings while you are wondering whether the next automatic payment will clear. You may be carrying student loans from a degree you hoped would create stability. You may have used a credit card for groceries, a medical bill, a car repair, or a season when income disappeared. Some of your debt may come from choices you would make differently now. Some may come from circumstances you did not choose. Often it is both. Honesty does not require you to deny your mistakes, and grace does not require you to blame yourself for everything. I am not standing over you with contempt. I am not reducing your life to a ledger. I am not looking at a credit score and deciding whether you deserve my attention. I know the difference between rebellion and survival, between carelessness and desperation, between a pattern that needs correction and a burden that arrived through loss, illness, exploitation, or responsibility for someone you love. Still, my compassion will not leave you hiding. Love does not shame you, but love tells the truth. Grace is not permission to avoid the statements, ignore the calls, or continue a pattern that is deepening the wound. Grace gives you a safe place to face reality. It says, you are loved before the plan works, while the plan is difficult, and even when progress is slower than you hoped. Because you are loved, you can stop running. Shame says, do not look. If you see the total, you will discover that you are a failure. Wisdom says, look carefully, because clear information gives you choices. Shame says, keep this secret from everyone. Wisdom says, bring the right people into the room. Shame says, fix it immediately, no matter the cost. Wisdom says, do not make a frightened decision that creates a more dangerous debt. Shame says, your life cannot begin until every balance is gone. I say, your life is happening now, and you can live it with dignity while you work toward greater freedom. There may be a fear beneath the financial fear. Perhaps you are not only afraid of owing money, you are afraid that the debt proves you will never be secure. You are afraid that no one will want to build a future with you. You are afraid that your children will repeat your struggle. You are afraid that one emergency will collapse everything. You are afraid that you are too far behind to recover. Let us name those fears without allowing them to become prophecies. A fear is a signal, not a verdict. It may reveal something that needs attention, but it cannot tell you the whole future. You do not know every opportunity, every resource, every conversation, every skill, or every act of support that may become part of the road ahead. You also do not need a dramatic prediction in order to have hope. Hope can be quieter and stronger than that. Hope can say, I do not know exactly how long this will take, but I can tell the truth today. I can ask for help. I can protect what matters most. I can learn. I can change a pattern. I can take one faithful step. The world often confuses financial value with human value. It treats a high income as proof of wisdom and a low balance as proof of virtue. But money can reveal habits without revealing the worth of a soul. A person can have wealth and live without peace. A person can carry debt and still be generous, honest, hardworking, and deeply loved. Your net worth is information about assets and liabilities. It is not a spiritual description of you. Your worth was not created by a lender, so a lender cannot remove it. Your dignity was not issued by a credit bureau, so a credit bureau cannot cancel it. You belong to me. I gave myself for you, not because your record was perfect, but because my love is faithful. You do not earn my presence through financial performance. You do not lose my nearness when a payment is late. You are invited to receive mercy and to walk in wisdom at the same time. This is where responsibility becomes different from condemnation. Condemnation says, you are the problem. Responsibility says, there is a problem, and you can participate in the response. Condemnation freezes you. Responsibility gives you agency. Condemnation keeps turning your face toward yesterday. Responsibility asks what can be done today. So I want to give you a sentence to carry through this message. You do not need to punish yourself in order to become responsible. Punishment may feel serious, but it often produces panic, secrecy, and extreme decisions. Wise responsibility is calmer. It gathers information, it protects essentials. It makes a plan that can survive an ordinary month, not just an unusually disciplined week. It allows room for food, shelter, medication, transportation, and the needs of those entrusted to your care. My word speaks honestly about debt. Proverbs says that the borrower becomes servant to the lender, that wisdom is not written to humiliate you. It explains why this pressure can feel like bondage. A portion of tomorrow's labor has already been promised. Interest can make yesterday's purchase reach into next year. Minimum payments can make effort feel invisible. The verse names the weight so you will respect it, not so you will believe you are beyond redemption. When I taught about counting the cost before building a tower, I honored clear-eyed planning. Faith does not require vague numbers. Trust does not become stronger when you refuse to open a bill. You can pray and calculate. You can worship and make a budget. You can surrender the outcome to me and still ask hard questions about spending, income, interest, and time. Consider the people of Israel gathering manna in the wilderness. They received daily provision, but they still had to go out and gather what was given. They could not control the whole wilderness, yet they could respond to the grace available that day. In the same way, you may not be able to erase the total today, but you can gather today's wisdom. You can make today's call. You can cancel today's unnecessary charge. You can prepare today's simple meal. You can tell today's truth. There is also a lesson in the small jar of oil brought to Elisha by a widow facing creditors. The story does not teach you to expect money to appear without action. Notice the movement. She named the crisis. She sought wise help. She gathered available containers. She used what was already in her house. She followed a clear process, and the provision addressed both debt and daily life. The point is not to copy the miracle as a formula. The point is that shame did not receive the final word. Honest need, wise instruction, available resources, and faithful action came together. Your path may include ordinary means rather than a dramatic event. It may include a payment plan, a second source of income that does not destroy your health, a corrected billing error, a lower interest rate, a non-profit credit counselor, a difficult change in spending, a tax refund, the sale of something you no longer need, help from family, or a long season of consistent payments. Ordinary does not mean godless. I can meet you in spreadsheets, phone calls, calendar reminders, and quiet decisions that no one applauds. Now we come to the step you may have been avoiding. I want you to open the statements, not recklessly, and not while you are driving or already overwhelmed. Choose a safe time within the next 24 hours. Sit somewhere steady. Bring water, have paper, a notes app, or a simple spreadsheet. If being alone will make you shut down, ask a trusted person to sit with you without judgment. Gather every account you know about. Write the lender or creditor, the current balance, the interest rate if available, the minimum payment, the due date, and whether the account is current, late, in collections or disputed. Include medical debt, personal loans, credit cards, student loans, buy now pay later plans, tax obligations, and money owed to family if those are part of your situation. Do not guess when you can verify. Do not make the number larger in your mind than it is, and do not make it smaller to protect yourself from discomfort. When you see the total, your body may react before your thoughts do. Your chest may tighten, your face may feel warm, your hands may shake. That reaction does not mean you are incapable. It means your nervous system has connected these numbers with danger. Pause. Put both feet on the floor. Name 5 things you can see. Take 1 slow breath in and a longer breath out. Then say, "This number is real, but it is not my identity. I can respond 1 step at a time." Do not use "God is bigger than this" as a way to avoid the details. Use it as a reason not to be destroyed by them. My greatness does not make arithmetic unnecessary. My presence makes honest arithmetic bearable. The number may be serious. It may require sacrifice, professional guidance, and time. Yet clarity is still better than a vague monster in the dark. After you gather the debts, stop for the day if you are emotionally flooded. The first assignment is to replace uncertainty with accurate information. Next, protect the essentials. Food, safe housing, utilities, necessary medication, basic transportation, insurance required for your situation, and the care of children or dependents come before paying unsecured debt with money you do not have. Do not starve your household to satisfy shame. Do not skip prescribed treatment because a credit card company sounds urgent. Do not risk eviction, shut-off, or the loss of necessary transportation merely to make every account appear current. This does not mean ignoring creditors. It means placing obligations in a wise order. Some debts carry immediate consequences, and some have legal or contractual complexity. When you are uncertain, seek qualified guidance for your country and state. A reputable nonprofit credit counselor, legal aid organization, tax professional, student loan specialist, or attorney may help you understand options that a frightened internet search will not explain clearly. Spiritual encouragement is not a substitute for financial or legal advice tailored to your circumstances. Be especially careful with anyone who promises instant debt elimination, guaranteed settlement, secret government money, or a new loan that will solve everything without risk. Fear makes quick relief look beautiful. Read terms, ask about fees, verify credentials. Do not give remote access to your accounts. Do not move money because a stranger creates urgency. A desperate decision can become a second crisis. If a collector contacts you, you may feel small, but you still have dignity. You can speak calmly. Ask for information in writing. Keep records of calls, dates, names, and agreements. Do not agree to a payment you know you cannot maintain, simply to end an uncomfortable conversation. If you believe a debt is not yours, the amount is wrong, or collection practices may be unlawful, seek qualified consumer law guidance. Courage is not saying yes to every demand. Courage is staying present long enough to understand what is true. For accounts that are valid, contact the lender and explain the situation honestly. Ask whether hardship programs, reduced interest, waived fees, modified due dates, or manageable payment arrangements are available. Not every request will be granted. Some conversations may be disappointing. Do not interpret a closed door as my rejection. Record what you learn, and continue building the plan with the options that are actually available. You may discover that the budget cannot carry all current obligations. This is not the moment for spiritual slogans. It is the moment for wise counsel. A qualified professional can help you compare repayment, consolidation, settlement, bankruptcy, or other lawful options without pretending every path is right for every person. Bankruptcy is not a casual decision, but neither should shame prevent you from understanding the law. Your moral worth is not decided by which legitimate financial remedy fits a complex situation. Now look at cash flow. Write down reliable monthly income after taxes. If income changes, use a conservative average and note the lowest typical month. Then list essential expenses based on what you actually spend, not what you hope you spend. Review the last 1 or 2 months of transactions. Small purchases matter, but do not let a few cups of coffee distract you from larger structural issues such as housing, transportation, childcare, insurance, medical costs, or insufficient income. A budget is not a punishment document. It is a decision made before the money becomes emotional. Give every available dollar a purpose, including a modest amount for irregular expenses. If the plan assumes that no tire will ever wear out, no child will need shoes, and no prescription will change, the plan will break and shame will return. Build a small margin when possible. Even a modest emergency buffer can prevent the next surprise from going onto a high-interest card. You may need to reduce spending for a season. Let that season be intentional, not humiliating. Say, "Not now," rather than, "I am not allowed to enjoy life." Choose simple meals, free activities, delayed upgrades, and honest conversations with friends. The purpose is not to prove your holiness through deprivation. The purpose is to align today's choices with tomorrow's peace. You may also need to increase income, but do not treat your body as an unlimited resource. A second job, overtime, freelance work, or selling unused items may help. Yet exhaustion can create medical costs, family strain, and poor decisions. Ask what is sustainable. Ask what protects sleep, safety, worship, and essential relationships. More income is useful only when the way you earn it does not quietly destroy what the money is meant to support. Choose a repayment method you can understand and continue. Some people begin with the smallest balance to create momentum. Others focus on the highest interest rate to reduce total cost. Either method can be reasonable. The best plan is not the one that sounds most impressive. It is the one you can follow consistently while protecting essentials and responding to legal obligations. Your first plan may be imperfect. That is not failure. A budget is a living tool. Review it weekly for the first month. Then at a rhythm that keeps you informed without feeding obsession. Adjust when income changes, when a bill is corrected, or when an emergency arises. Progress is not a straight line. The goal is not to become a person who never encounters difficulty. The goal is to become a person who responds to difficulty with truth, support, and wisdom. There is another burden beneath the numbers, and it is comparison. You see someone else's visible success and compare it with your private struggle. You do not see their debt, their help, their inheritance, their fear, or the cost of maintaining the image. You only see the house, the car, the dinner, or the announcement. Then you use another person's edited moment as evidence against your entire life. Release that comparison. Their timeline cannot tell you whether you are faithful today. You are not late to your own life. You may need to rebuild, begin again, or choose a humbler path than you imagined. But humility is not humiliation. There is honor in living within reality. There is strength in becoming teachable. There is freedom in no longer spending to convince people that you are doing well. Perhaps debt has affected your relationships. You may avoid conversations with a spouse because every discussion becomes tense. You may hide purchases, accounts, or missed payments because you are afraid of anger. You may resent a partner whose choices contributed to the problem. You may be supporting an adult child, a parent, or another relative beyond what your household can sustain. Love and money can become tangled with guilt until every boundary feels cruel. I will not ask you to call secrecy peace. If you share finances with a spouse or partner, honesty matters. Choose a calm time, not the middle of an argument. Bring accurate information. Speak about facts, fears, and needs without using contempt. Say, "This is where we are. This is what I am afraid of. This is the help I think we need. I want us to make the next decision together." If there has been deception, acknowledge it directly. Rebuilding trust may take longer than building a budget, and wise pastoral or professional counseling may be necessary. If money is being controlled through threats, surveillance, coercion, or violence, do not assume that a joint budgeting conversation is safe. Financial abuse is real. Seek confidential support, safety planning, and qualified local help. Forgiveness does not require you to remain exposed to harm, and faith does not require you to hand control back to someone who uses it to endanger you. You may also need to disappoint someone you love. A relative may expect money you cannot give. An adult child may ask you to rescue them again. A friend may pressure you to join an expense that does not fit. A boundary can sound like, "I love you, but I cannot pay for that." It can sound like, "I can help you think through options, but I cannot borrow on your behalf." It can sound like, "I am rebuilding my finances, so I need a less expensive way for us to spend time together." A boundary is not a rejection of the person. It is a truthful description of what you can carry. When you say yes from fear, resentment often grows behind the yes. When you say no, with clarity and kindness, you make room for honest relationship. Some of you are ashamed because you tithed, donated, or gave money while essential bills went unpaid. Generosity is beautiful, but I do not ask you to use giving as a bargain for rescue. You cannot purchase my favor. You cannot force a financial miracle by giving money you need for food, medication, housing, or the care of dependents. Give freely, not under pressure, manipulation, or fear. Stewardship includes generosity, and it also includes responsibility for those in your care. Some of you have heard teaching that made every financial difficulty sound like evidence of weak faith, a curse, or a spiritual attack. That language may have intensified your shame. The world is broken. Wages, illness, inflation, emergencies, exploitation, discrimination, and human choices can all affect money. Spiritual opposition is real, but not every late fee needs a dramatic explanation. Sometimes the wisest spiritual response is to read the contract, make the call, ask for counsel, and change a habit. Do not rebuke a budget, build one. Do not declare that a balance is gone when it is still there. Tell the truth and pray within the truth. Faith is not denial. Faith is trusting my character while you work with the facts in front of you. You may wonder, what if I do everything right and progress is still slow? Then let slow progress be real progress. $100 paid is not meaningless, because thousands remain. 1 month without adding new high-interest debt is not nothing. One honest conversation can interrupt years of secrecy. One corrected fee, one canceled subscription, one prepared lunch, one application, one counseling appointment, or one boundary may look small, but a stable life is often rebuilt through unremarkable decisions repeated with patience. Celebrate without becoming careless. When you pay off an account, mark the moment. Thank my Father. Tell someone who has supported you. Then direct the freed payment toward the next priority if your plan calls for it. Let success become momentum, not permission to reopen the wound. And when a setback comes, because ordinary life contains setbacks, do not turn one event into a verdict. A car repair may interrupt the payment plan. A medical expense may use the emergency fund. Work hours may fall. You may make an impulsive purchase and regret it. Pause before shame writes the story. Ask what happened. Was the plan unrealistic? Was there an emotional trigger? Was the expense necessary? Is there a system that could help next time? Repair what you can, adjust the plan, and continue. Grace does not erase consequences, but it keeps consequences from becoming identity. You can make amends without hating yourself. You can learn without calling yourself stupid. You can grieve lost time without losing today. There may also be grief connected to the debt. Perhaps the balance belongs to a medical season, a funeral, a divorce, a failed business, infertility treatment, a legal struggle, or the care of someone who is no longer here. In that case, every statement may carry a memory. You are not only paying money, you are touching pain. Treat that grief gently. A spreadsheet cannot hold all of it. Bring the memory to me. Talk with someone trustworthy. Let tears come without assuming they mean you are weak. The goal is not to make the debt emotionally neutral overnight. The goal is to keep the grief from deciding every financial action. Now I want you to imagine a different kind of freedom. Do not imagine only the day a balance reaches zero. That may be a meaningful goal, but freedom begins earlier. Freedom is opening a statement without losing your sense of self. Freedom is telling the truth before a crisis forces it. Freedom is knowing what you can spend. Freedom is refusing a predatory offer. Freedom is sleeping after you have done today's work instead of rehearsing tomorrow's fear. Freedom is also accepting that your path may include help. Pride says help proves failure. Wisdom says the right help can shorten confusion and prevent harm. Ask your church whether it knows reputable local resources, but verify qualifications. Contact a nonprofit counseling organization. Speak with a professional who understands taxes, consumer law, student loans, or bankruptcy when those issues apply. Ask a trusted friend to be an accountability partner, not a controller. Let support be specific. Within the next 24 hours, Choose one action. Open and list the statements. Schedule the call. Cancel the unused service. Ask for the hardship department. Make an appointment with a qualified counselor. Tell your spouse the truth. Move a small amount into an emergency buffer. Choose only one, if many actions will overwhelm you. A faithful next step is better than an ambitious plan abandoned by tomorrow. Then create a weekly appointment with your finances. Keep it brief enough to maintain. 20 or 30 minutes may be sufficient. Review balances, upcoming bills, spending, and one next action. Begin with a breath and a prayer for wisdom. End by naming one sign of progress, even if the sign is simply that you showed up. Do not check your accounts compulsively all day. Information serves you when it leads to action. It harms you when it becomes a ritual of fear. Set a rhythm. Allow yourself to return to work, relationships, rest, and ordinary joy after the review is complete. You are still allowed to laugh while you have debt. You are still allowed to enjoy a walk, a meal at home, music, prayer, friendship, sunlight, and rest. Joy is not irresponsible when it does not require spending beyond your plan. In fact, simple joy can protect you from using purchases as anesthesia. Ask what you have been trying to buy emotionally. Was it belonging? Relief? Status? Comfort after a painful day? Control? A purchase cannot permanently provide those things. When the urge arrives, pause for 10 minutes. Name the feeling. Drink water. Step outside. Text a safe friend. Pray. Then decide with a clearer mind. The goal is not to fear every purchase. The goal is to become free enough to choose rather than react. My child, listen carefully. Discipline is not the same as harshness. You can be disciplined and compassionate toward yourself. You can create rules without creating a prison. You can say no to spending and yes to rest. You can work hard without making exhaustion your savior. You can pursue repayment without postponing every meaningful part of life. Your future is not secured by anxiety. Anxiety feels active, but it often repeats the same thought without producing a decision. Wisdom is quieter. Wisdom asks, "What is mine to do today?" Then it does that, and releases what remains beyond today's reach. I want to restore the way you speak to yourself. When you hear, "I am a failure," answer, "I am a person facing a financial problem." When you hear, "I will never recover," answer, "I do not know the full timeline, but I can take the next wise step." When you hear, "Everyone is ahead of me," answer, "Comparison cannot build my life." When you hear, "I must fix this immediately," answer, "I will act urgently where safety requires it, and patiently where change takes time." Say these words slowly if they are honest for you. My worth is not my balance. I can face facts without surrendering to fear. I can ask for help without losing dignity. I can make changes without punishing myself. I can practice faith and practical wisdom together. I can take responsibility for my choices without carrying responsibility for everything that happened to me. Now place your hand over your heart if that feels comfortable. Notice that you are here. You have survived every day that brought you to this one. Your body has carried stress, but it is not your enemy. Thank it for trying to protect you. Take a slow breath in. As you breathe out, release the demand to solve every year of your future tonight. I am with you in this exact moment. Not as a guarantee that every request will be approved, every fee removed, or every balance quickly erased. I am with you as your shepherd, your teacher, your savior, and your Lord. I will not abandon you when the process is ordinary. I will give wisdom when you ask, strength for truthful action, mercy when you stumble, and people who can help when you are willing to reach for them. Now let us bring this burden to my Father. You do not need to perform. You do not need to force yourself to feel peaceful. Receive the words slowly, and let your own honest prayer rise within them. Father, I bring this listener before you with love. You see the account balances, the due dates, the income, the responsibilities, and every circumstance that cannot be summarized by a number. You see the work they have done, the sleep they have lost, the decisions they regret, and the pressures they did not choose. Nothing is hidden from you, and nothing about their situation causes you to withdraw your mercy. Let your peace begin in their body. Slow the racing thoughts. Ease the tightness in the chest and the heaviness in the stomach. Help their breathing become steady. Give rest to the muscles that have stayed tense as though danger were always at the door. When anxiety returns, remind them that they can pause, ground themselves, and take the next step, without solving everything at once. Father, remove the shame that says they must hide. Expose the lie that a financial struggle makes them unworthy of love or respect. Where they have made harmful choices, give them courage to admit those choices without becoming consumed by self-hatred. Where they have suffered because of illness, job loss, family crisis, exploitation, or another person's decisions, help them release false responsibility. Teach them the difference between what belongs to them and what never did. Give them a clear mind as they open the statements. Help them gather accurate information and resist the urge to exaggerate or minimize. Let the page become a place of truth, not a courtroom of condemnation. When the total appears, hold them steady. Remind them that information creates options and that a number cannot name a soul. Grant wisdom about priorities. Protect food, shelter, utilities, medication, transportation, and the care of children or dependents. Show them which obligations require immediate attention and which can be addressed through a longer plan. Keep them from sacrificing basic safety merely to silence a demanding voice. Lead them to qualified help. Guide them away from people who profit from desperation and toward counselors, attorneys, tax professionals, student loan specialists, pastoral support, or community resources that are reputable and appropriate. Give them patience to verify credentials, read terms, ask questions, and refuse pressure. Let wise help arrive without humiliation. Prepare them for difficult conversations. Give them calm words when they contact a lender or creditor. Help them ask clearly about hardship programs, reduced rates, corrected errors, modified due dates, or manageable arrangements. When an answer is no, protect them from despair. When an option is offered, give them discernment to understand its cost and consequences before agreeing. Where a debt is inaccurate, disputed, or connected to unlawful collection, guide them toward proper documentation and qualified legal advice. Where the situation involves taxes, custody, immigration, bankruptcy, or another complex legal matter, keep them from relying on rumors or spiritual predictions. Give them trustworthy counsel and the courage to follow sound guidance. Father, protect them from quick fixes. When fear makes a new loan, a settlement promise, or an investment scheme look like rescue, slow them down. Keep them from transferring money, sharing account access, signing unclear terms, or borrowing at a dangerous cost. Let peace create enough space for investigation. Give them wisdom to build a budget that reflects real life. Show them where money is going without turning every small pleasure into an accusation. Reveal the large patterns that need attention. Help them distinguish needs, responsibilities, goals, and temporary wants. Give them grace to create a modest margin for irregular expenses so that one surprise does not undo months of work. Where spending has become a way to soothe pain, reveal the feeling beneath the purchase. Meet them in loneliness, exhaustion, grief, envy, and the desire to belong. Provide healthier forms of comfort, honest friendship, rest, movement, prayer, counseling, and simple joy. Teach them to pause long enough to choose. Where income is insufficient, open their eyes to realistic possibilities. Give them courage to apply, negotiate, learn, ask, or change direction when appropriate. But guard them from destroying their health in the pursuit of more. Help them weigh the cost of overtime, a second job, or additional work on sleep, family, and safety. Provide a path that is sustainable, not merely impressive. Bless the work of their hands without turning work into their God. Give them diligence, creativity, reliability, and favor with people who can make fair decisions. When doors remain closed, keep their identity secure. When an opportunity opens, help them recognize it and respond with integrity. Bring unity where finances have created conflict in a marriage or household. Replace accusation with honesty, and secrecy with appropriate transparency. Give each person courage to own their part. Where trust has been damaged, provide patient repair and wise counseling. Where there is coercion, financial abuse, or violence, lead the vulnerable person toward confidential support and safety. Do not let religious pressure trap anyone in danger. Give them strength to establish boundaries with people they love. Help them say no without cruelty and yes without resentment. Free them from the belief that love must always provide money. Show them ways to care that do not require borrowing, enabling, or risking their household. Teach them generous stewardship without manipulation. Let giving flow from love and freedom, not fear of punishment or an attempt to purchase a miracle. Protect them from anyone who connects your blessing to a pressured donation. Remind them that you desire truth in the heart, care for those entrusted to them, justice, mercy, and humble faithfulness. Father, give endurance for slow progress. When they make a payment and the balance barely moves, help them remember that consistency matters. When interest feels discouraging, guide them toward informed action rather than despair. When the journey takes longer than expected, keep them from abandoning a sound plan for a reckless shortcut. Let them notice small victories: a statement opened, a call completed, a fee questioned, a payment made, a week without new high-cost debt, a truthful conversation, a meal prepared, a boundary kept, a counseling appointment scheduled. These actions may not look dramatic, but they are signs that fear is no longer directing every choice. When setbacks come, give them mercy and curiosity. Help them ask what needs to change instead of declaring themselves hopeless. If an emergency uses the money they saved, remind them that the savings still served its purpose. If they make an impulsive choice, help them repair it and learn the trigger. If income falls, guide them to revise the plan quickly and seek support. Comfort those whose debt is connected to grief. Some statements carry the memory of a hospital room, a funeral, a divorce, a failed business, a legal battle, or years of caring for someone they love. Hold the story behind the balance. Give them space to mourn. Let financial planning and emotional healing proceed together without forcing either one to move faster than truth allows. Protect their sleep. When calculations begin in the darkness, help them write down the concern and return to it at the appointed time. Remind them that midnight is rarely the best hour for major financial decisions. Quiet the belief that constant worry is the same as responsible action. Let rest restore the mind they will need tomorrow. Give them freedom from comparison. When they see another person's house, vacation, income, or apparent ease, remind them that they do not know the full story. Help them honor their own responsibilities. Let them choose a simple life over a performed life, truth over appearance, and peace over status. Restore their identity. They are more than a borrower, a balance, a missed payment, or a mistake. They are a person made in your image, worthy of dignity and capable of growth. Let that identity produce humility rather than denial, courage rather than pride, and perseverance rather than panic. Father, for anyone in immediate crisis, provide urgent support. If they are at risk of losing housing, utilities, food, medication, or safety, connect them with local assistance and trustworthy people. If financial despair has led to thoughts of self-harm, give them courage to contact emergency services, a crisis professional, and a trusted person now. Do not let them isolate with danger. Prayer is precious, and receiving immediate human help can be part of your care. For the person who feels too tired to begin, reduce the task to one step. Let them choose a time, open one account, write one line, or send one message asking for help. For the person trying to do everything tonight, give permission to stop after the next wise action. Teach them that faithfulness has a pace. Let this financial season form wisdom without hardening the heart. May they become more compassionate toward others, more careful with promises, more honest about limits, and more grateful for daily provision. Do not let scarcity make them cruel, or fear make them controlling. Preserve tenderness, generosity, and hope. I ask for daily bread, not as a slogan, but as real provision. Provide what is needed through work, community, lawful resources, wise decisions, and unexpected kindness. When provision looks ordinary, help them receive it with gratitude. When help comes through another person, free them to accept it without losing dignity. When they are able to help someone else, teach them to give with wisdom and without creating harm. Above all, keep them near to you. Do not let money become the center of every thought. Let prayer, scripture, worship, relationships, service, and rest remain part of life while they rebuild. Remind them that financial health is important, but it is not salvation. Their deepest security is not a perfect account. It is your faithful love. Thank you for meeting them in truth. Thank you for wisdom that can be practiced, grace that can survive a setback, and peace that does not require a false promise. Guide the next call, the next conversation, the next decision, and the next ordinary day. Give them enough light for the step in front of them. My child, receive this clearly. You are not being asked to become fearless before you act. Courage can move while fear is still present. You are not being asked to know the entire road. Wisdom can choose the next turn without seeing the destination. When this message ends, do not rush into 10 decisions. Write down the one action you will take within 24 hours. Make it specific. Open the statements at 7 tomorrow evening. Call the hardship department during lunch. Ask a nonprofit counselor for an appointment. Tell my spouse the full balance after dinner. Put the action on your calendar. Then choose one person or resource that can support the process. Debt grows stronger in secrecy, but you do not need to tell everyone. Tell someone safe, mature, and able to respect your dignity. Ask for the kind of help you actually need, whether that is sitting beside you, helping you organize, praying with you, or connecting you with qualified guidance. Remember the sentence I gave you: you do not need to punish yourself in order to become responsible. Let responsibility look like truth, patience, protection, and repeated action. Let grace keep you from hiding, and wisdom keep you from rushing. The balance is a location, not an identity. The statement is information, not a sentence over your future. Open it. Read it. Record it. Ask for help. Make the next decision. Then rest when today's work is done. May my peace guard your heart while you face what is real. May my wisdom guide you through choices that are complex. May my grace meet you when progress is slow. May my love remind you that no financial condition can separate you from me. Father, hold this listener through the night and through every step ahead. Give them courage for truth, patience for the process, and hope grounded in your presence rather than a guaranteed outcome. In my name, I ask it. Amen. If this prayer helped you take a clearer next step, write "Open the statements" in the comments as a personal reminder of the action you chose. Like this message if it brought you peace. Subscribe for more scripture-grounded devotionals and share it with someone carrying financial stress. Then follow through on your one practical step within the next 24 hours.